Thank you everybody for joining us. So we have a really exciting webinar lined up, designing winning customer experiences. We have a really great panel joining us, and I think we have some very interesting content and thought pieces that will be really quite impactful for everyone's kind of digital transformation and user experience journey. So I'd like to first introduce your panel for today's session. So we have Tamer Almouj, Managing Director for MENA. Tamer works with our clients, in the Middle East and across the world as well on kind of advising them on their growth plans, on their digital transformations, and kind of being really the client partner through their journeys. Welcome, Tamer. Welcome to the webinar.
Thank you, Tom.
We have Izwan Fauzi joining us as well. Izwan is our UI UX director. He's based in the APAC region, but he works again with our clients across the world, kind of helping lead their user experience journey creation, the design, the interfaces, everything that the brand is going to showcase to the customer through their various, desktop or mobile applications. He is kind of the champion and the design mastermind behind a lot of the great work that we've been putting out. So welcome, Ezwan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Tom.
And we also have Firdaus Adam. So Firdaus is our product design lead, works very closely with our teams across the world in APAC, in MENA, and of course with Izwan and his teams. Firdaus really is kind of helping us apply a lot of the great kind of concepts and design theories into our projects and helping clients build products that are really engaging and kind of help design user interfaces that are kind of changing the world as we kind of see it. Welcome, Firdaus. Welcome to the session.
Thanks, Tom.
And myself, I'm Tom Romansky, and I'll be the moderator for this session, helping kind of guide things along and providing little tidbits of info here and there. So I'd like to first hand over to Tamer to kind of take us through a little bit about who we are as Codebase and kind of set up the session for us. So Tamer, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Tom. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening to our guests attending from all over the world with your respective times, and our team. Good morning, and thank you for being here with us today. So it's an exciting webinar today, I would say, and one of my very dear to my heart subjects when I talk to customers wherever we go. And it's always fun to look at this part of our stack that is built in-house, and our team sits in our Kuala Lumpur office. So we don't give this outside when we do work for our clients around the world. These are our own boys and girls doing amazing work, award-winning, I would say. Before that, let's just shed light and remind our friends and our partners, whomever is attending the webinar today, on whom Codebase really is. So we're a global digital banking platform, award-winning, called DigiBank. So DigiBank is our full stack that goes from back to front, from core banking all the way to customer-facing channels, if you like. Also, with a vision to disrupt the way technology is being utilized for a greater purpose, we say internally, we engineer impactful digital financial experiences for conventional Islamic and non-Islamic fintechs, neobanks, lender, etc., and so on and so forth. So also, touching upon our experts, right? Our UI UX design strategy, development and project deliveries in place across the team, scattered all over the world from Codebase. When we say stats like 200 plus years of combined team experience, really what we mean is each team member comes with a wealth of experience, background. Many of us carry an important aspect is we come from banking, we understand banking. So for today's topic, when we say, we're doing design, a lot of companies do design, beautiful stuff, amazing stuff. But when you come and you try to implement it, and the team today will shed light on those points, it makes it more powerful, stronger for the customer experience when it's designed from a banking perspective background. We are award-winning on design. Yes, we have the highest conversion rates, and we'll talk about that as we go along. But also, when you have a banking flavor understanding, you can design those implementations in an amazing way. We've had, thankfully, 100% implementation rate. Some projects do take longer than others. We are very fast to implement. We've done neobanks in about 4.5 months, but we have implementations that stretched much longer than that. And of course, that is due to each customer's environment and what is needed. But we're always committed to finish and go live, and that's what's really important, Tom, today. Our head office is in Dubai, operational office in Bahrain, building a tech hub out of Jordan. Development team is in Pakistan, India. Our design team studio is in Kuala Lumpur. We are in the APAC region. We're in North Africa, South Africa, and projects running pretty much in all over the Middle East and North Africa. Uh, Today, what I want to also say is that we're not the typical, company in that perspective. We're just under 200 employees. We're a niche boutique company, if you like, and we go with a handheld approach, backed up with advisory, and that's what's important. We pick and choose our customers where it makes sense and is successful for both sides. Also, if I want to touch a little bit on the UI US aspect, in the financial sector, exceptional UI UX is really crucial for the customer satisfaction and retention. Let's emphasize on retention here, which is more important. Retention is important because today it's just open for everyone to jump ship, right? In the past, you're tied to your bank, you can't really move. But today, if you don't, work on a part that will help you, the financial institution to retain the people, it's very easy for them to take that decision, jump, go to another customer, and you lost him or her. So at Code-Based Technologies, we really leverage on our extensive experience, and skilled team of design professionals to really create what we call a user-centric solution. And we focus on understanding user needs through comprehensive research and the ability and usability of the testing itself. This approach, of course, really ensures our designs are intuitive, secure, quote unquote, we underline secure, and of course accessible. Financial information really simple and clear. So our proven methods have been pretty much refined through numerous clients' engagements, consistently delivering interfaces that build trust and enhance user experience by prioritizing simplicity, security, and of course, accessibility. We really pretty much help our clients provide, superior and reliable user experiences. If we can, Tom, jump to the next slide, if you may. And yeah, so now let us, go into dive deep into the beef, what's important and what's amazing and fun about today's session. So today we're going to be, going to delve into the critical role of customer experience, or CX, and UI UX design in the banking financial services industry. Okay, so let's look at the modern customers where they have, of course, high expectations, which they deserve. They expect their banking apps to be, as seamless, intuitive, and engaging as the market-leading social media apps are today, and other popular digital platforms that really people use on daily basis. This demands for top-notch digital experiences, and this is, of course, going to be driving the focus heavily on improving their digital interfaces for those financial institutions. So, of course, in today's competitive markets, providing superior digital experience is not just a nice-to-have feature. It's really a necessity. Customers today are, demand it, and banks that fail, or financial institutions that fail to meet these expectations pretty much risk, losing them and to other competitors, who really do it, and they can go by it by focusing on UI UX design. So customers pretty much also do attract new ones driving, and that leads you to pretty much profitability when you have the right ingredients in place. Tom, if you can move to the next slide, please. So okay, so when we talk about business numbers, support UX, and really strong drivers, Uh, the interface, the design, is not just about making things look visually appealing, but it's also about creating an experience that is seamless, intuitive. And I said, I've been repeating those words like seamless and intuitive and user friendly, because this focus on a good UI design translates directly into what we call tangible business outcomes. All right. So companies that invest in excellent UI design see higher customer engagements and satisfaction. When users find an interface, all right, easy and can navigate through it, they are more likely to stay longer. And we've seen those, stats take place and explore more features. And we say more features, and ultimately this takes them to really use whatever is on that app itself from services more frequently. See, the way I see it, and the way I repeat this to people when we talk to them, in their respected banks, is this is your landing station, right? This is where you land as a customer. From there, either you lose that customer or you're gonna really drag him and take him and have them, interact with what you have. That's the only one chance you have. So if you do it right, from there you can drive them towards what you need to take them through. Additionally, good UI design, reduces the friction points, and we've seen that, and I'm sure the viewers today and whomever is listening to us, they can understand and see that. Where they can lead to user frustration sometimes because either you're stuck, and I'm one of the people that sometimes I have to use other banking platforms due to my travel, and I do get frustrated, and I call many of our team members, like saying, you're familiar with this app, can you tell me how to do this or how to do that? And I'm from the industry and I struggle myself. So when customers really encounter fewer obstacles, they're less likely to to abandon the process, where it's filling the forms, even from the digital onboarding part. If that's difficult, they'll just give up and it will go. Making transactions or seeking information, this seamless experience can significantly lower dropout rates, and this will increase completion rates for key actions in general. And moreover, businesses that really prioritize UI design often find it that it really leads to support costs, a well-designed interface, and minimizes the errors. So the numbers clearly support the link between good UI, UX, and business success. If we jump to the next slide, I have looked at the numbers and the stats that's in front of us, and we can see it. So, if we talk about the focus and the essentials, firstly, customer engagements and retentions are significantly influenced by the quality of digital experience. So when customers encounter a smooth, user-friendly interface, they are more likely to engage and remain loyal to that financial institution. Giving a fact, so above 70% of customers, state that customer experience is the primary factor they consider, deciding whether to continue using that service or not. And poor, digital experiences can drive customers away, and that number could be around somewhere between, it's high, it's around 50% maybe, or a little bit less, of those customers really leave that brand that they were with for years, and they did that because of poor CX. See, we're being spoiled now, and if we don't find what we want and what we like, we will abandon. The old days, people were, I don't know if they were just stuck to what they have. Maybe that's the best they had at the time. But now, everything is amazing and looks great everywhere. So some of the stats in front of us, customer loyalty represents that percentage of 25%, revenue growth. We've seen those numbers, and satisfaction, and of course, trust and credibility. So understanding the customer and the behavior comes from us pretty much as a team, because we are users and customers, and we do it daily ourselves. So we really think of ourselves and drive it from there. And this is where the team really takes on. And if I want to touch base on the fact that financial benefits of what are the financial benefits of investing in customer experience, and how substantial that is, banks can excel in providing exceptional customer experience, and they can see those revenue numbers and growth going up. So a 60% increase in profit compared to those that really don't. And that's pretty much high of a number, Tom, when you look at those stats. 20, 40%, 45,
Yeah,
40 to 45% of organizations consider CX their top customer engagement, and challenge file, followed closely by security. And maybe on another topic, going forward, another webinar, I would really like to talk about the security when it comes, to, building those customer experiences, UI, UX designs, and so on and so forth. I hope I was able to shed light on, those stats, where we're going, how things are done. And I can't wait, and I'm so excited to hear out Iswan today. And we're gonna give, my team members the chance to talk about that, and Firdaus, of course. And I want you to have whomever's listening to us, get excited. And I can't wait to have those conversations on the ground with our customers and future prospects. Thank you, Tom. And we're here to engage if we have questions, and we can interact with our teams as we go along.
definitely. Thank you so much, Tamer, for that. Thank you for kind of showing really how, the numbers support, as you said, that customer experience. It's not a nice to have. It's like a business critical aspect of, everything in the digital world today. So I think as Tamer has set up how important it is to create and to design these customer experiences, I'm sure everyone's really kind of wondering now then, or curious about, okay, so how do I actually build this, right? How do I build this experience that's going to generate these great numbers for me? So I think, there's no one better to answer that than Iswan. And I think, I'll hand over to Iswan now to take us through a little bit of the how, since we now know why these experiences are important. Iswan, maybe you can give us take us on that journey of how we actually do this for clients.
Sure. Thank you, Tom. First of all, thank you everyone for attending. So yeah, building great products, building a product even, it just include, I mean, the design is only just 10% of the rest. I mean, 90% of it includes the key principle, which we can see in the next slide. The key principle, because the most successful products actually it meets the user needs and wants. And if you want the real user to actually like satisfied with your product, you have to adhere, at least we adhere to these principles in our design or in our outcomes. So the first one is user friendliness. This is I mean, no need an explanation, because especially on the digital products, you have to be user friendly for a user or for human to use it, right? And then automate action. This can be enabled from our solution. Usually when user filling up, like registering a bank account, we can have like auto populate of the data. So this kind of anticipation of user inputting the information themselves can make a big difference. And then designing scalable UI. This is important in at least in most of the recent I mean, during recent years of launching, because everyone are launching the app, right? So everyone was like trying to speed to market. So they want something to be launched very soon, but ultimately they want something very big, right? So scalable is important. And then personalization, if you can allow that in your products or in your mobile application, it will be great, or can add additional value to your products. And I think the next is you have to always test and iterate your product with the real users, even internally, or if you find any issue with your current implementation, you can always test and iterate. And because when you do that, you have the next point, which is meaningful decision. Meaning, let's say there's a features or there's a feedback, so you make that you make any design decision with a meaning, without any afterthought. Like everything in the structure, in the UI, has a reason to be placed there. Why the button is this big? Why the account balance is this big? All this should have a meaningful decision. And environment consistency. This is important for familiarity of the usage for your products. So basically, the customer can come once into your app, and then the next time they come, or the third time they come, they would already know what to do when they see this color, what to do when they see this the progress bar, things like that. And most importantly, of course, it's like in any other UI or UX flow, you have to break down the complex tasks. And speaking about breaking complex tasks, I think banking has the most complex tasks. I think in my personal opinion, compared to the next one, which is airlines. So yeah, so I hope I mean, I wish we have more time to go through all this in principle in detail, but I think let's focus now on three principles that we apply, which is user friendliness, design scalable UI, and also environment consistency. If you move to the next slide, I will explain about user friendliness, how we can achieve this when we're building a product. So basically, you have to when you have the user feedback, or you have the user group, when you create it with the client or with the business, you end up with a different group of people that gonna use your app or already existing using your app already. So in order to improve your app or build your new app, you have to prioritize on each on one single group that you think that will be regularly use your app compared to the rest of the group, because you cannot design everything. You cannot design for everyone, basically. So that brings me to the next point, which is you have can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So when you have this user group, you focus on their feedbacks, you prioritize on their feedback compared to the other groups, because that's what your goal is
You
to
wanna,
satisfy.
if I can ask or jump in as one. So you want to
Yeah,
kind of create the app that will be the most easy to use for, like, let's say the largest percentage of the population. Is that correct? Is that what you're kind of saying? Or largest percentage of the, let's say, bank's
yeah.
user group, right?
The
Like you can't take
yeah,
every feedback on
targeted,
board.
yeah, the targeted audience, like, of course, when banks or clients that wants to approach you to build a product, to approach us building a product, we have to understand what are the target audience. So probably they might want every group to be targeted, but we have, on that case, we have to prioritize on certain group, which is the one they want the most.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
they
I
want to.
guess you have to also, yeah, like I guess maybe in many cases on projects, it's like, are you building an app to, let's say, capture new customers, right? So they might be, let's say, a younger audience or have different preferences, or are you addressing, let's say, a urgent need for like existing customers? Do they? So I guess maybe that forms part of the like project objective or the UI objective, right? Are we growing, or are we actually addressing a pain point maybe, or an issue?
Yeah, exactly, because the objective are different for those different users, right? Okay, so also to relate to the user groups, like if you focus on the older generation, their language in the app or the jargon they understand is totally different from the younger generation that are using product. So this is important for user to build a user friendly UI or UX, because in banking, especially, most of our clients are either financial institution or banking. They have a lot of technical jargons that even I sometimes don't still understand, or trying to ask what are these stand for actually. Like in the example I have here is EKYC. I mean, most people might know already what EKYC is, but they don't really relate that it's actually your personal information. I mean, so when you're doing language in your mobile app, or when you do the front-facing products, you have to speak their language. So in this case, EKYC, you can call it personal info, like fund account here. Some people would take this as an account type, or this is a fund account, meaning it's not a saving account. So that's actually wrong. So that's is actually incorrect interpretation. So instead, we can use like, okay, this is where you add money. So there is some verb that, okay, this is where you take action. Okay, but there's some technical jargons that we cannot change. Like for in this case example, IBAN. It stands for internet banking account number. It's very long, and I don't think it's gonna look good when you try to put it in the interface, because it's gonna be very crowded and whatnot. So in these cases of non-changeable terms, you can just use and support them with a extra explanation. Like in the in this example, I'm using like info icon, so I don't have to change the technical term. but I do have to explain to user what this stand for, so they can make good decision when going through the flow.
And
All
I
right.
guess also it's an opportunity to like, we talk always people talk about like financial literacy and inclusion. So it's an opportunity also to like educate people, right? So maybe IBAN, they don't know what it means. So you kind of use this information as a, you're kind of building their knowledge of finances. And same, I guess you could use that for anything, right? You could say add money and then explain the type of account, or, there's all these kind of opportunities, right, for design to kind of build people's knowledge as well, especially with
Yeah.
digital channels.
Exactly. I mean, as a human, we just learn one time, and then the next time we already know, right? So meaning, when you are at the first or the beginning of the flow, you have to tell them everything, explain to user, make them understand what they are opt in for, and then the next time they will know what to do, and that will increase the customer satisfaction on using your product.
Makes sense.
Okay. So the next, I think this is within the internal project and also with client. It's important to collaborate with all parties that involve when you're making a great UX or great UX and great CX, because you have to be involved from the beginning. This is where we discuss and try to improvise. Let's say from the flow, from flow A, they have a step 1, 2, 3, but in your the value that you can put is like, okay, let's combine, maybe 2 and 3 can be combined, and it can be make much more shorter. And then the step 1 we can show in different section, things like that, because those improvement points that you bring or you raise is actually can be discussed directly with the technical, whether is feasible or is not doable, and for business, are they actually meeting their objective. So this is where you kind of like set expectation, uh, because when you are at this stage, you can try put yourself as a user, because you are building the crafting the UX for the front for the user. So yeah, if the collaboration can be successful, you will have the good UX flow. I mean, like improved flow. Even you see uh, on the current how people, I mean, how others are doing the flow. Maybe you find some flaws that you can improve. This is where you suggest and raise.
I think that that's probably I mean a quite a challenging part of a project, right? Because you might design something wonderful in the flow, but then there might be technical limitations or there might be bank process limitations. So it's like you're designing and I guess always iterating and changing and to make sure everything works while still optimizing, right? Because I mean you want to design and optimize the business process of a bank as well through the customer experience, right? Not just design something that's like done in an old way of thinking, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's saying like your design can look sweet, but what if the wheels doesn't turn, right?
Exactly, yeah. That's a good metaphor.
That doesn't make sense. Is that I mean, it has to be involved with all different team to collaborate and do the a successful product.
Makes sense.
Okay, if you move to the next slide, we can talk about scalable interfaces. Basically, when you at the beginning or the kickoff of any product the project, we at least we usually sit and discuss with our client that how are you visioning your app to be I mean in the ultimate state or the end state of this roadmap, right? So this is important uh, because when you already can imagine what are the flows, how the UI structure should be built when you look at this product roadmap. And that actually bring me to the next point, which is you have to start from the design from end state. So you have, I mean, we usually start from the end state because that's where you actually figure out, okay, how are we gonna put more products if there is more features coming in the next year or something like that. So from there you can just think about some structure or some design system, which I will touch in the next point. But if you move to the next point, the next slide, this is one of the way that you can do or apply to your products, which is you set up modular UI structures. So when it comes to, if you see in my example here, I have all the components are separated. It can be arranged, rearranged, or in the future, maybe scale to whatever product. Let's say in the tab, for example, at the top, you can just expand. Let's say that there's a product tab, right? You have accounts, loans, you have credit cards, and in the future, you might have investment, insurance. So building a modular UI structures is important for you to apply the correct or the best UX flow. So user won't have to relearn every time you add a feature. So they would know, okay, where to find my products, where to find my account, how to make action to certain products, things like that.
So it's kind of you set up the ingredients that you can then kind of, as you said, anything you want to create, it's like faster for us to build with the client, right? It's not like you're starting from scratch. It's like you can just build on and create something that's can grow as big as the client wants to grow, right? With any product or country or anything, and you just tweak basically.
Yeah, correct. So because it's also not just improving on the UX, it's also improving on the implementation. So you can build faster because you have all these components as a modular, right? You can add in, you can remove stuff. I'd say this one example in our one of our client in Capital. They want to add like a Idul Fitri or Idul Adha banner. They can just add. They can move things around because it's modular. So it's user can. I mean, even the implementation can be very fast in this way.
Everything's already been coded in, so to speak, right? So you're just kind of replicating that code in a way,
Yeah,
in a very layman's term.
Yeah, and connect them to different services.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so next one I would talk about. Yeah, so this is another example, basically how you want to do scalable interface on the product page. So either you want this user to scroll all the way down and then they're missing out all the information at the top, or you can even do this, which is better, because you kind of like give an overview what your product you have, and then it can also have no limitation. Basically, you can add more products as you go along. This can be one of the modular UI structures that we are using in our design top.
So you take it from like, let's say the basis of like, let's say a design of a button all the way to like a design of a section, right? Let's say like a product overview, which has some elements in it. So you kind of make the basic building blocks and then you have like component pieces, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Like Lego, right? So
There you go.
Yeah, and then you can make car or something. Okay.
Perfect. That's cool.
My next principle that we are applying in our project is always focus on consistency, especially if you have multiple platform. So you cannot have, you should not have a different set of components or patterns, design patterns in desktop, and then you move to mobile app, is totally different color, different branding, different design patterns. That will actually create a disconnection. So to my point, on this first one, when you start the project, you have to understand when the product you are building is it a utility, or is it just information only, or entertainment? So when you have defined this experience, then you can see what are the devices that are actually can serve your the purpose of your product. So let's say in this table that I prepared here, a mobile device can actually give you give user ability to input information, and also they can access it 24 hours 7 days, and it's also portable. So compared to the tablet and a computer, so this actually can help you make great design decision when you do the UI. Basically, all these devices affordances, how they interact with mobile is not the same as how they interact with the laptop, right? Okay, and then build and maintain design systems. This is related to also in my previous point, which is the scalability. because when you want to scale, you have to, when you do modular structures, you can take these components out or design patterns out, and you can put in one source of truth that everyone can look and understand the purpose of it. I mean, in this case, I show example from IBM Carbon Design System, how they actually create a consistency in their button shape, in their button, in the usage of the button, and also the color code is very important for your design patterns. In like in this example, they have stated all the purpose for each single color. I mean, so when you go apply this design system component in the UI, you can, I mean, the user, when you use it, they would know, okay, blue for me is to go to proceed. Red for me is there's something I need to take action, right? So building and maintaining this can actually, building and maintaining design system can improve the consistency across your products. I mean, across the platform even.
And I guess across different, let's say, teams or designers maybe, right? So you know that however many people working on a project are going to be creating something within a similar or within the same experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's like collaboration, right? I mean, you have like, that's why if you let's, it doesn't matter if you have like 2 or 5 designers. When you are looking at the same design system, everyone will use the same components, use the same design patterns, and also to add some points on that, you can actually help the development again on maintaining their global components when they do build or implement all these patterns in their in the framework. Okay, so you have all the design system set up, you build, you maintain it. Now is the time when you do the UI, you try to not to reinvent everything from the scratch, because you already have things modular, you have things you have all the components ready to be used. So in this case, I'll show you one of our client. We try to think how the user access the details of their products, right? So they have account, they have loans, they have cards, they have investment. So we don't want them to relearn every time they look at information or navigation. So when they comes into the details page, it's always going to be the same with the top header, with the information of the account or information of the card. And then you can see how we put the tab, how they navigate between the content of the actual product, and then the below is the details of what they are looking for. So we apply this to every account, every details page for the product. So you can, like, you don't have to reinvent everything. Just try to reuse, and basically you will help your user to go to uh, to to anticipate what's coming when they are navigating through your app.
Makes the whole experience like
Okay.
seamless, and you're not having to, rethink or spend time on things that I want to make a transaction quickly. I don't need to be like every time be like, oh wait, this card is different, this investment is different. Now I have to like get stressed about,
Exactly. Yeah, so you kind of like set a mental model when they first launch your app, you set up the mental model. So once they come, that's why you can even in our popular apps, right, like WhatsApp, you know where to look when you're not looking, you can especially navigate through the app, because you already know, you already build a mental model with that app, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So all these 3 principles, I think I will have Daus to Firdaus actually to explain how we apply them to our projects that is actually already in production, or even have a very good feedback from the customer or the app store ratings. I mean, over to you, Firdaus.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Azwan.
you, Azwan. That was pretty informative.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Firdaus, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Easy and Tom. So there was a good point and very well and thoroughly explained, Easy. So now I'm gonna walk the audience through on how we implement or apply those key principles into, I mean, in helping our clients to achieve the winning experience. Sorry, Tom, can you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay. I think yeah, let's move on to the
Yeah.
first sample. Okay, this is how let's go to the first key principles, which is the user friendliness that we've applied on one of the project in Jordan, which is the Capital Bank. As a rule of thumb, a good experience must be easy to use and navigate. So as you can see as a sample on the screen there, what we did was we've arranged, I mean, for you to achieve the ease of use, sometimes not necessarily for you to build something really unique or complex. Sometimes this can be achieved as simple as by designing something familiar or something common that you see in most of the apps out there. For example, here as you can see, we've arranged the type of product in the tabs where user can toggle through the type of product if they have more than one, for example, their account, cards, loans, and then respectively under each type of product, if they have more than one account, for example, user can simply tapping through on the arrows next to it to navigate. So we can see this kind of interaction almost in all the apps, right? So when you have your experience is easy to navigate, this will require minimal effort from the user for them to ultimately achieve their goal. Yeah, moving on to the next one. Another sample of on the same bank. When we design, apart from trying to build something really great from aesthetic perspective, we think on what would be the most accessed features or entry point within the same screen, right? Rather than just putting it there because it's good, it looks good, or it's beautiful. So we think from user's perspective, how will user use it? So in this case, we put all the action buttons, for example, within your thumb reach. So we this design method, we call it thumb friendly design. So by having this applied or implemented, user can even achieve their goal or access something that they need to, even by using one hand.
I have a
So
Firdaus,
yeah,
maybe a question on that because I think I've kind of seen this or heard about this quite a bit because I
yeah,
assume, obviously people will use their phone with like either right hand or left hand, right? So
yes,
I guess
yes.
is there like a consideration that you guys have when like let's say structuring this kind of design? Okay, someone can reach a certain distance from the right hand, but can they reach a different distance from the left hand? Like, how do you consider that level of, let's say, accessibility in designing something like this kind of interface?
That's a good point, Tom. And also, what comes to mind are like, a female hand versus a male hand, small hand versus a larger hand, and left to right. So that's a good question. Let's hear it out.
I see this question coming all miles away. Okay, yeah, I know every time we've discussing around this subject, this kind of question always thrown to us, where of course, whatever the decision that we're going to make, um, obviously based on the data, that's number one. Secondly, whatever that we design, it has to be tested. So, for example, the bank or the client knows their biggest target segment, for example, So all this will be picked and somehow gathered or grouped together as a focus group, for example. So all this relevant people will do the testing based on what we build, and somehow there will be iteration if necessary. And sometimes this decision can be concluded with having um, a button in the middle, for example, just to be fair in both, behavior and whatnot. Yeah.
So it's
I
like
hope
a
that answer
content.
your question.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's yeah, it's like I guess you have to. I mean, like as his one also said, you can't really
Mhm.
design something perfect for everyone, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone has so
Yeah.
many varieties. Of course, we haven't even talked about people who are maybe less abled, who have any kind of physical differentiation, like in terms of hands. So as you said, it's like
Yeah.
you have to test and maybe have various versions or adaptable models, and but again, testing and making sure it's what the customer's user is going to
Yeah.
be familiar with is
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
the key thing, right? It's putting this customer first at the center.
Yeah. I think the same, I don't want to say issue, but the same discussion happen for example, let's look at iOS, right? When
Mm.
you have a FaceTime call or something, I think the same question will be asked, whether we want to put the end call button in the middle, on the right.
That's a good point.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's quite common. So yeah, again, has to be tested. Whatever that is going to be decided will be based on the outcome from the test or from the research, for example.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is still we are still in the same key principle, which is the user friendliness that we've applied on one of the banks in UAE, which is Ajman Bank. Um, in order for you to achieve a good experience, best to keep it essential, meaning we can take out or avoid unnecessary distraction from that screen, and keep the interactable or something that user has to see within the same screen minimal, so that it will increase users focus. So ultimately they will um, uh, they can achieve their goal faster because they have more focus, right?
Mm.
So for example, here we just have in this transfer journey, right? From there, user can toggle or filter their beneficiaries, for example, whether it's friends or family. Then underneath it, they can filter, and that's the content. That's it. So there's no unnecessary component or fields there for user to be distracted, rather than completing their journey.
So this kind of, I guess, touches also on something that I guess is one mentioned. Like, I think the common knowledge or the common thinking people have is, oh, the less clicks to complete an action, it's like the best thing, right? It's the less clicks. Because I think that came from, historically websites and things like that. But I think maybe
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah,
saying now is, or what the research and our experience shows is maybe actually, for instance, in banking apps, less clicks is not
mhm.
always actually the most efficient thing, right? It's
Yeah,
how
exactly.
you
Yeah,
how you split up the complexity, right? Or the user experience.
It's based on
yeah. Mm.
it's
So
based
yeah, Isman.
this yeah, the flow. If you focus on the objective out of the individual page, that will be better. I mean, let's say if you put like a lot of forms or a lot of inputs that user need to make decision in one page, that would, even for me, it will be so much hassle for you to complete. Except if you break into the single page, so you can have, okay, one decision of over another, which is very what do you call it, more delightful for the user for
Mm.
to complete it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah,
because you want people to enjoy using the app, right? At the end of the day, it's not just
yeah.
like I want someone to sign up. I want someone to sign up for my banking product or banking app and still enjoy using it, so they keep using it, not just do it as a forced exit thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That makes actually a lot of sense, especially that, when you build, like Ajman is a good example of a super app based, right? So
Mm.
not going with only a simple suite. So some propositions, maybe, less clicks do make sense. But actually,
Mhm.
what we're touching on today is that with the large number of features, for example, and services, which a lot of institutions are aspiring for. Yes, it's not necessary to have less number of clicks, but as you separate them, and that each experience, is much clear. Thank you for that
Looks
point. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, just to wrap this point up, based on our previous experiences, we've even compared um two experiences. One is having less click sort of experience with breaking this task into smaller chunks. Turn out that the ones that is broken into smaller chunks, user achieve the goal way faster than the one that we try to
Ah,
put things all together in one screen.
so
Yeah.
so so more is less kind of thing in a way. No,
Yeah.
no, but that makes sense. That makes sense because you're focused on one bit, so you can complete it quicker rather than too
Yes.
much
Yep.
info and you just get kind of
Yeah.
drowned in it.
Yeah. It's like you having a full of checklist that you need to be done in one day.
Mm.
So putting in one, then you check off one by one. That will make you more productive, sort of, in
Yeah,
achieving your goals. Yeah.
makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. I think let's move on to the next sample. Yeah. The same. Sorry. The next key principle, which is the consistency that we've applied in one of the another project in Jordan, which is Blink. So here is, I mean, Blink is one of the first gesture-based project that we've built together with the client, where instead of having um, you know, interaction like scrolling like a comment, we try to think something like out of the box where user can swipe through all these cards to check their banking information, their balance, their account number, for example. So speaking about consistency on this, right? The one the red card is actually the dashboard where user sees every time they log in, where user can swipe through, and then when they navigate to the payment sort of landing page on the right hand side, we implement the same buttons, the same cards that is swipeable for user to toggle through or switch through, depending on what action that they need to do. Basically we recycle, or we keep, or we maintain the same interaction, the same button. Is just that it is depending on where user is at there. So for example, on the left hand we see the transaction, and then on the right hand side we see the new request. But that the same button in terms of design will be dynamically based on where user is at, for example. So here what I want to say is keeping the interaction or the design consistent will create familiarity, which somehow improve the accessibility, right? So this will make the overall user experience better and more predictable. So meaning user will, well, I think somehow Izwan also mentioned that when you see something similar, you know what to expect from there. So we
So
want that to yeah.
it's like I guess it's like muscle memory, right? It's like the
Yeah.
neurological way things work. Like if I know, for instance, if I tap in the top right, then the card flips to show me something. Then I know that whatever
Yes.
card or product I'm on in that app, I top right automatically. I don't even think I can click and it'll show me that same,
Something, yeah.
yeah, like intuitive element.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay, yeah, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, still speaking about consistency that we've applied on Ajman Bank. So here is when we design, we try to keep the unique design or the unique components minimal, so that when users sees this type of component, they know what to expect from it. Like this will I mean, keeping the consistent design or the elements consistent throughout will make the uh it's basically saves time for developer to recreate another unique component, right? For example, here as you can see, we have the same card or tile with two liner label there with an icon, and then the same component we duplicate or introduce as a variant within the same sort of family. So this can be managed in the design system from design side. And when we have built this, the same will be communicated to development team so that they can build their own design system or design library that I mean in a codes manner. So whatever that they see in design will somehow be aligned whatever that we have on development. So any changes that happen moving forward will save time
Time, yeah.
rather than recreating something new, right?
So this would be like, let's say that
Mm,
let's say element, or let's say it's the, like for instance here we have the view e statement button.
mm,
So it's like a certain type
mhm.
of button. So they would have,
Yes.
let's say, like the design of it, the interaction, or any animation maybe. So all of that, it's kind of like almost coded in, and then you could always
Mhm.
duplicate it and say, okay, we need this kind of interaction, but it's for this this product or this feature. So I guess that's kind of how you can accelerate the time to market, right? We can build stuff quickly.
Yes, yes.
Or if a client says,
Yep.
oh, you know what? Actually, I have another 3 cards. You can almost just,
Mm-hmm.
you have those elements that you can kind of, as is one said, it's like Legos,
Yeah,
right? You can put it together rather than be like, okay, we have to like design everything, animate everything from scratch, code it from scratch.
yeah. Not just fast,
Mm.
fast with quality. Meaning we'll manage the standard with, less time.
Yes, of
So
course. I
that's
mean, the
the
quality is
ultimate
always
goal. Yeah.
there, but it's like you're
Yeah.
not redoing the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Makes sense. Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, the last key principle, which is the scalability, right? So as Izwan said earlier, when we design, we not design something for day one. So we think based on the roadmap, we design the end state, right? Rather than you design something for day one and then you have to scale up. So we work kind of backward, where we try to put the most complex or the ultimate permutation of scenarios, and then we scale it down to cater for day one scenarios. So in this case, in Sahel, that we've done in Bahrain, um, on the one on the left, it's basically day one where user only have one product, for example, right? And then as we go along, we thought of what if user has application ongoing, how the UI or the design will look like, and what if user has more than one product. Um, Rather than every time there's new feature launched, you need to kind of rethink the UI, which is can not just require more effort from design perspective, but from development perspective as well. So I think this is somehow what Izwan mentioned earlier, the modular design, right? So again, the same structure, it can just a matter of squeezing a component or the section within the same page rather than trying to make major changes on the design itself. So this is what why the scalable design will help in terms of achieving the good experience. Okay, the last one, same key principle, which is scalability, that we've applied in one of the project in Lebanon, which is WingPay. Um, this WingPay app, the main feature is for you to make any payment. Like you can it's like a prepaid card or wallet app where on the first launch, um, user can only see the transaction based on what they transact or making a payment using their card, so that they can see the same transaction reflected on the app. And recently, we've introduced a payment feature where user can tap the scan to pay, and then they can add the money into the card from the app itself. So this is how we scale the design, rather than, I mean, while keeping the similar structure, similar UI, and then we squeeze these new features, so that user won't have to, relearn when they look at this interface upon this new features launched.
Yeah, because I
So
mean, you can
yeah.
see, as you said, on the left, before we've
Mm-hmm.
added these three extra features,
Mm-hmm.
from the left screen to the right screen. I mean, it's basically the same familiar user interface, but now these extra options have been inserted. So I guess, like you said, with the modular approach, you can kind of do all that kind of stuff. And then I guess there's also
Yeah.
ongoing testing, right? Do you have ongoing testing, and let's say we figure actually maybe having the buttons in the middle, makes more sense to have them on top. I guess, these kind
Yeah.
of things you can always just quickly adjust and then re-release an app, right?
Yeah.
Because of this
Yeah. Yeah.
modular approach.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Scalable design is always reliable, as it, minimize the downtime and disruption on the user experience.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I think, can you move on to the next slide? Okay, to end the presentation of the session on the key principles part, I just want to end it with one of the quotes by Steve Jobs. He said, "You can't just ask customer what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it bill, they would want something new." So what he is actually saying is, sometimes users don't even know what they want. When you build something, what they actually need, then they know what they actually need. So he said this on when he first launched the iPhone. So I think that's
Yeah.
somehow related to what we do in delivering the best experience to our customer, right? It's not just about you, about me. It's about the users, right? Or the customers. So
It's
I
Yeah.
like
think, yeah.
Airbnb disrupting the
Mhm.
hotel industry, Uber or Grab disrupting the taxi industry. So people don't know they need, right? Because we have hotel, we have taxi before. We don't expect to have this. But then when people does build it, I think we kind of need it. Actually, we never
Yeah.
realized that we.
Then you need it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's a really good point to kind of highlight is there is that balance, right? I mean, you have to address some of the needs, but you're right. Sometimes people don't know, right? You kind of go like,
Yeah.
I never knew I needed this type of feature until someone showed it to me, right? So I think there is that importance, right, in creativity and innovation. And sometimes, there's maybe some clients who want to be safe, or they think, oh no, people might not like this. But I guess that's where the testing is so important, right? I mean, you should
Yeah.
Yeah.
sometimes break out of the box and disrupt, because then you become, known and remembered for that. And like as you said rightfully, I mean, if Steve Jobs only listened to customers, maybe we wouldn't have iPhones and all these things, right? Because no one would think, I want a
Yeah.
phone that's a full screen, right? So no, that's
Yeah.
that's
With
perfect.
physical keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. We'd still be using like t Nokias and touch
Nokia.
phones. Not that the Nokia was bad. I mean, the 3310 was fantastic, um but thank you guys.
Yeah.
I think what I'll do is I'll now start the Q&A. We have some interesting questions from the audience. So I will go through the questions we have, because I'm conscious of time. We're kind of just running up to an hour.
Yeah.
So we have four quite interesting questions. I'll start actually with the most recent one and work back. So, Firdaus or Izwan or Tamer, whichever one of you wants to answer, please go in. So we have one from an anonymous attendee. So have you ever tackled a design problem where you had to balance the needs of the user with the business goals? and how did you approach that? Is
Firdaus,
one
you
may
want to take?
or Firdaus, yeah, maybe you can answer that one.
Wait, let me digest the question.
So have you ever tackled a design problem where you had to balance the needs of the user with the business goals, and how did we approach that?
Yep.
I think um in designing, sometimes you can't fulfill um all these parties needs, right? Because as we often said, right, we design something for the end user, right? Sometimes business can strictly want this because they know the things better from business perspective, right? But at the end of the day, the user will be the one who using the product, right? So if they experience something great, they will probably talk about it. They will share with their friends and family, right? So what I want to say here is first, of course, we need to understand the business goals. And then we probably see the previous experience, for example, or the existing product, and then we see how we can enhance. And ultimately, all this has to answer users' needs. I think that's how I mean I interpreted the question, and
That's
I hope
that's
I
yeah,
answered the question.
that's a
Yeah,
good one, of course. But also let's remember, balance between the design and what the business requirements are
Right.
for customer. We always go into that debate. See, if
yeah,
we let the customer go all the way with what they want, that's possible if they follow our advice. So because we
yeah,
do advisory as well, we have to shed light on what could be a struggle or not. It is our duty to put that in front of the customer. Now, at the
Yep.
end, if the customer, puts his foot down and say, "This is how I want it to be," yeah, that will reflect on the end design and the user experience. So, of course, this is a daily thing with our partners and customers that we work.
Line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an ongoing thing, and of course, with the enhancements as well as we keep going along, whether we do enhancements on those designs and those UI UXs, or if we reskin the whole application and do it again. And I think yeah, it's a healthy thing. And our role is also educational on what is
yeah,
Hmm.
what needs to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
I think
that
just
makes sense.
just to add a simple one on top of what Tamer said. Yeah, so when you have reached this junction, whether to follow the business or to tend for the user, I think the best way for you that we also use in our cases, we test it out, do the A/B testing. I mean, see which outcomes come pretty much usable. So that's the only way that I can see that. Whether you want to be on the business side or the user side. That's the decision factor that you can make.
Nice. That's a good input, everyone. Um,
Tom, if I may, take one of the questions as well that I can see here, and I know this person always, challenges nice questions.
we
So
like
this is
that. We like.
where, a bit, because what captured my attention is the philosophy of a
Yeah,
type of
that was
sport.
actually going to be the question I was asked next. So
Yes, yes.
perfect.
So,
Go ahead.
philosophy is my thing and I love it. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so with what this person is asking you, with almost everyone applying the same UX principles, apps and often seem the same, how can you differentiate the UX and over something new?
And
I
offer
don't know
something
if
new,
this
I think. Yeah.
question, not sure if this question was after we ran through, but I hope you've seen the different UXs that
Yeah.
or are real examples of our customers. None of them are the same, right?
Mm.
And one of them stands out in specific was a very bold thing, which is the swiping right and swiping left, which is unusual. And
For
that
Blink, yeah.
was, yeah, that application was addressed for a younger generation that already sit on daily basis on social media that apply the same. So we took that experience, and the bank, that we've worked with was amazing enough to, say, yes, let's do that. Let's try it out. And if I belong to that generation,
Yep.
that uses swipe right, and so that's familiarity for us. So
Yep.
color scheme and design is one thing, and then how you utilize it. And I think maybe the examples showed, but I'll leave it for
Yep.
the rest of you to say something on that.
Yeah, actually, this question actually interested me as well. So yes, we are in the middle of uh, a principle sort of applied everywhere, which is good because these principles are very great for the user. But how we're using this principle for certain projects with a specific location, with a specific user group is different because if you see what example we have in Lebanon, which is our current client, their users, it's not, the criteria of their users using their banking, they have more than, when they open an app, they have more than 4 or 5 accounts. So it's not applicable to any other country that I've worked before. So this is where this principle challenge you, where you actually have to design or come up with a UI or UX that fits that particular criteria. Let's say you cannot do like a swiping left and right if the user already have 5 or more account, right? Because every time user will just have to scroll just to see that one account. So in Blink, for example, that is in Jordan, they are targeting a very young generation which have a very sort of used to all the social medias, and they also in business perspective, they also offers a very very small amount of products, which is debit card and credit card. So we don't need to use all principles at one time. So we pick and choose the principle. We apply based on the localization. So we don't apply, we don't put every egg in one basket and then let's say, okay, this is your product. No. So we apply to each and every single client. That's why I think the point I mentioned is collaboration between business is important for the UX or the UI to involve to actually make a good value about, okay, this has been done before in this client, it doesn't work, it looks boring, things like that. So why don't you do this and that? So yeah.
Okay, no, I think that answers it nicely. I think
Can I
we
take another one?
sure, go ahead. No problem.
No, this one is important and crucial. That's the
Yeah.
last one. I think it got in. So the question is, how do we measure the success of the UI UX design? So I'll say one part and I'll let the rest of the team answer it, or just talk about it. Conversion rates, 100%, because we've seen this. So what does a conversion rate mean? It means, I'll give an example. In one of our implementations in the region, it was measured that the conversion rate was close to 90%. It was 80, 88, 87%. What does that mean? Each 100 people that are downloading that application not only has it, they have it on their phone and it becomes dormant and just sitting there, they become actual users of the services of that organization or that bank or financial institution. So that's how you measure. So each person, 80 people out of 100 started using that. That's your answer right there. And I'll leave it to the guys if they want to just say a word or two.
No, I think you answered it very correctly. I mean, to measure the success, always, I mean, it has to bring some. I mean, when the business do well, meaning their product do well, right? So the conversion rate actually, shows the result. I mean, if the UX doesn't work, people won't actually install it. They just install and use it for a while and they just uninstall. Correct? That's what happened to most of us.
Yeah, that's true. If you don't like the app, you're just gonna delete it. So ultimately, if the business is doing well, you're getting downloads, account funding, there must be a definitely customer experience has a contribution to that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. I think we take maybe one or two more quick ones, and then we can wrap up just in the interest of everyone's time. There's a question about, do you have any advice on how to understand the customer's needs better? Maybe some tips or ideas on how to understand the customer needs better.
That was
Okay, maybe I can say something, then you guys
Yeah,
can add.
please.
Um, um, when okay, way before we start even going to the design canvas, right? Of course, we need to understand the user, or who at least will be using the product that we're gonna build, right? So from there, there's a process. We've identified the what we call persona. Then we not just understanding or knowing their biography, their pains, their needs. We go all the way down to how do they think, what do they say about something, how do they act, what do they do, and things like that. So this exercise, not just I mean, we don't do this exercise on our own, but instead we do this exercise with our clients, and obviously our clients has a data or statistic that we can rely on. So from there we can somehow understand this segment in average, whether what kind of mobile they use, for example, right? What do you think? What mobile app they interact most, for example? And then from there we nail down all the way to for example, we have a task or a goal that we think related to the product that we're going to build. From there, we try to identify how do they think, how would they do or react, what do they say about this sort of problem statement or something that they try to achieve. So from there, we gathered all this data that we work with our clients. Then we know what to design rather than we design because we think it looks great aesthetically, right? So I think, yeah, I hope I answered the question. Probably some of my colleagues, want to add something.
Is there anything you want
no,
to build on? No, okay.
good. It's a
That makes sense.
well-rounded answer.
Okay, no, I think that's it. I have to give you definitely Izwan and Firdaus, you have a shout out from Shan from India. Just wanted to say hi to you
I know.
guys.
Hello, Shan.
So make sure
Hi,
you
Shan.
guys. Okay, there's one last question I think we can answer and then we'll wrap up. So there was I don't know if maybe you're able to go into too much detail on this, but what is your overall design process? Like what's your requirements gathering process like, and how do your low fidelity wireframes look like? I mean, maybe that's something we can't really show right now, but maybe you can just give a general overview of what our design and requirements gathering process looks like.
Okay. I'll take this one. So I mean, the way we do the design in our most of our project, we first sit with the client, of course, to gather all the requirements. I mean, if they have existing products, we try them ourselves and check all the feedbacks or all the pain points they have in the data. And then from that, we digest all this information. And then we do also presented some of our landscape analysis from our side, which is we study all the the application or all the products that have similar offerings to the one with the one client that you're working with, so they can know what especially in this same region, because that's where you can tell them, okay, what are other people's doing in that market, in that region. So either two things, you can adapt and try to get, I mean, adapt some of the methods they use, or even you can also tackle their pain points so you don't repeat the same mistake twice in your products. So meaning when you do launch it, you do it differently or even better than the one in the market. So after that, when we do all gather all these requirements, then we do have all the design references we took from this landscape analysis and some other concept that we can take forward. And then only then we do the low fidelity wireframing, because by that time all the business requirement has been agreed with the client. So everything, I mean, at some point it has to be signed off, all the business requirement. And from there we do the UI low fidelity wireframe, just to ensure if we can improvise more on the UX flow, meaning the BRD that has been signed off not necessarily cannot be changed in the UI. I mean, when our client usually see the wireframe compared to the business flow, like a boxes business flow, they would think of something else. They say, oh, why don't this thing we can improve? I mean, we can combine this tab, we can change, we can remove this tab, things like that. So that's the low fidelity wireframe. And then only after everything has been locked in, okay, we use the flow, low fidelity wireframe is locked, then we move to design. Because that's why I say in the beginning, design is only like 10% of the whole input of from our delivery.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, I think we'll wrap it up with that. I think, thank you guys, Tamer, Firdaus, Izwan. I think it was a really interesting content and really interesting conversation. And I hopefully our audience had some great takeaways from from this journey that we discussed about customer experiences, and gives them some good food for thought in their own projects and endeavors. So, thank you all for attending and for sharing your insights. And yeah, we'll be sharing a recording of this webinar on our website and social medias in the next few days. So, in case you didn't catch it or you want to rewatch it, just you can download it or check it out there.
Thank you,
Thank
Tom.
you.
Also,
Thank you for the
yeah, also
attendees.
Tom, maybe we can answer the question that we didn't attend it in the, I mean, late after the call. I mean,
Yeah, we can do that. We can add that in.
Yeah,
Yep.
That's a good idea.
whomever is they can always reach out. We can answer those questions.
Definitely.
If you're attending today's session for information. If you're a prospect upcoming partner, please reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to engage with you.
Definitely. Thank you so much,
Amazing
everybody.
stuff as always, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
This has
guys,
been-
and thank you to our audience.
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Take care.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Thank you
Take care.
all.
Bye.
Bye bye.